is Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. Here now, Tony Bruschi.
There's the kind of grief that creeps in sideways, the kind that doesn't scream from the headlines, doesn't beg for attention. It just sits there in the corner of a tow yard, waiting for someone to open the trunk of a Tesla. By the time the story of Celeste Rivas reached most of us, it was already twisted. People had been filling in the blanks long before the autopsy was done, long before any investigator spoke on the record, and in some cases before her name was even confirmed. She was a missing 15-year-old girl whose story never had a proper middle, just a beginning that disappeared and an ending that showed up in a bag in a vehicle no one had moved in weeks. This is one of those cases that makes you sick. Not just because of what was found, but because of what was assumed the second it was. And today what we're doing, what frankly should have been done from the start, sorting fact from fiction, truth from noise, and honoring the real-life gravity of what we do know about the Celeste Rivas case and how she ended up in David's trunk, or d4vd, however you want to say it. And we say it both ways because there's a lot of people going, huh? David. That's what I said. This is a story about a girl who went missing. A car that sat unmoved in a music industry rising star whose name got pulled into the center of it all. But it's also a story about what happens when people confuse social media speculation with investigation, and when the pursuit of clicks gets louder than the pursuit of clarity. So here's what we can say without spin, without drama, and without turning tragedy into tabloid. And believe me, I'm well aware this will probably not age well because it's an unfolding case. So what we're saying as of this moment in time, the recording is October 15th of 2025. We don't know where this is all going, but here's what we know as of this moment. Okay? As of this moment. Things will change. The body of Celeste Rivas was discovered on September 8th, 2025 in the front trunk of a white Tesla Model 3 that had been parked in a residential area in the Hollywood Hills for at least 10 days. The car was registered to David Anthony Burke, the 19-year-old alternative music artist known as David. Alternative R&B, I don't know how you want to categorize it. Macabre R&B is how I would say it. And the fact that this wasn't immediately labeled a homicide by law enforcement, that matters. It does. What tipped authorities off wasn't a tip line, a confession, or a report from someone close. It was smell. Something I can't do right now. If you're like, your voice sounds a little different. I'm extremely congested. So, got a cold or I'm rocking, so I apologize for that. Try not to sniffle into the mic too much. Staff at Hollywood Tow noticed the foul odor coming from the vehicle, which had been impounded on September 5th after racking up a 72-hour parking violation and a parking ticket. They opened the trunk, and what they found was a decomposed body of a young girl, later identified through forensic and personal features as Celeste Rivas, who had reportedly not been seen in over a year. That's what the reports say at this time. So let's pause on that. A 15-year-old missing for over a year, found in a Tesla inside a tow yard with no prior report connecting her disappearance to the vehicle or to Burke. That's the spine of the story. The rest, that's where we need to tread carefully. Within hours of the discovery, headlines jumped to murder. TikTokers jumped to conspiracy. Fan accounts posted timelines. But what the LAPD said very specifically was this: the cause and manner of death are deferred. That means they don't know yet. It means they're waiting for science to speak first. Not Twitter, not Reddit, not TikTok, not somebody who thinks that a certain account might have been David's. And look, I'm not here to say that these pieces of evidence that some are finding online are not factual. They are. There's a lot of digging that's been done, and there's a lot of investigative work that people have been able to do on the internet, just within some of these communities, that has produced results. So I just want to be honest about that. There has been a lot that has come to light, including a security video that shows she was back at that place that she was reported missing from several months after she was reported missing. So I don't know that she was so missing at the end. But again, tread lightly on all this. We're still kind of waiting for official word. Remember, official word doesn't always mean fact either. And to be fair, the science needs time, especially when remains are in an advanced state of decomposition. I'm not trying to be gross here, but this is just the reality of the situation. The coroner's office confirmed the remains were very deteriorated, that it would take time to determine whether Celeste died of natural causes, drug-related causes, asphyxiation, blunt force trauma, or something else entirely. Forensic anthropologist, I believe, is the title of the individual that is having to go in and try and figure this out. She was not pregnant. We know that. That's listed clearly in the death certificate, yet dozens of accounts, even verified ones, had already decided that she was, because that fits really well into what the Lifetime movie version of this will be, or the Hulu series. She was not pregnant. So why do people do that? Why do we need so badly to complete the picture when the evidence hasn't had a chance to catch up? A lot of it comes down to the name attached to the car, David. It isn't a household name to everyone, but for some circles and TikTok, it is. Millions of followers, a carefully curated, sad boy aesthetic with songs about lost love and existential dread. Type of stuff that picks you up and just makes you feel good. The kind of young artist who already walks the line between vulnerability and mystery. And there's no crime about that. There's always been artists who walk that line and have been insanely successful doing so. So when his car became the site of a recovery scene, the imagination of the internet, well, it filled in the blanks. But here's what's real. And here's where it stays real. The Tesla was parked for an extended period on a narrow street in the Bird streets of Hollywood Hills, a high-dollar neighborhood where anything that sits too long gets noticed. On August 27th, parking enforcement marked the vehicle. On September 3rd, it got a ticket. On September 5th, it was towed. And then on September 8th, the odor led to the discovery at the tow lot. Police confirmed the body was in a bag in the front trunk, not in the back, not in the rear seat, not in the glove box, despite what some internet and Instagram reels have suggested. And it wasn't because she was chopped up, dismembered, or ritualistically mutilated, despite those being words some platforms allowed to trend. Let me say this clearly. No credible forensic report, medical examiner statement, or LAPD press release has used the word dismemberment yet. There has been reporting by some credible sources that have, okay? So I'm just throwing that out there. The official words have not yet used that word. But again, that's not to say that there's not credible reporting from very good sources saying that, yes, in fact, that is reality. So, it's out there. The body was badly decomposed. We do know that. That is not the same as confirmed post-mortem dismemberment. Now, let's talk about the connection or lack thereof between Celeste Rivas and David Burke. As of this moment, the LAPD has not publicly confirmed that the two knew each other yet. The internet has shown that they did. There are no public photos of them together. Well, I think the internet has shown that there is. There's been speculation based on lyrics, username, fan interactions, and TikTok comments. But none of it has been officially, officially recognized yet by the authorities. Doesn't mean that they don't know there's a connection there. Doesn't mean that there isn't a connection there. Doesn't mean that the very videos of the two of them sitting there talking together on camera aren't real. It's just none of that has made it into the official story yet. So there's fact, there's fiction, and there's everything in between, which is where most things lie in a lot of stories like this. There is a track unreleased rumored to have used her name. There are allegations from internet sleuths that she had access to a Discord server he was part of. But unless that's backed up by IP logs, messages, or verified metadata, it is just what it looks like, a maybe. And maybes, they don't hold up in a courtroom, but we're far from a courtroom yet. What has been confirmed is that police served a search warrant on a property tied to Burke's residence in the Hollywood Hills. The home wasn't owned by him, but it was reportedly leased for him by his management team. He moved out shortly after the discovery, and the lease was terminated early. Police seized electronics, including devices and storage hardware, as is standard in any case where a digital footprint might shed light on a victim's movements or communications. Meanwhile, back in Texas, things are moving quickly. On September 17th, just days after the body was found, a swatting call was made to Burke's parents' home in Cypress, Texas. Deputies arrived with guns drawn. The call was fake. It was a tactic that's designed to provoke chaos, potentially tragedy. It did nothing but confirm that this case has already become a spectacle. Does it have anything to do with the murder? Well, time will tell. But on the surface, no. A week later, records show that Burke transferred ownership of that Cypress home to his mother. Deed filings confirm the transfer. Could that move be for legal reasons? Could it be for asset protection? Could it be routine family estate planning? Yes, to all of the above. And it's all legal. And it's not an admission of guilt. Yet you wouldn't know that from the way people have reacted. You'd think the property transfer was a smoking gun. You'd think the swatting call was an alibi. You'd think the tour cancellations, which did happen, were a confession. In truth, I mean, it's damage control. Whether you're guilty or not, or have anything to do with this or not, you have to do damage control because of the optics of all of this. His remaining U.S. tour dates were canceled, the deluxe album release delayed, and brand partnerships frozen. And that, too, is common, not because guilt was proven, not because it's basically because public attention became a liability. When it always gets louder than the evidence, the market reacts accordingly. Right or wrong, there's plenty of people who were highly successful, got accused of something that was not true, lost a ton of brand deals, had to do their own PR work to scratch themselves back up to the top, but never quite make it. Because words matter. Accusations matter. Especially when people will believe what they want to believe. Facts be damned. So yes, he's protecting his assets. Again, something one would do sensibly. He'd be an idiot if he wasn't. If he had nothing to do with it, he's doing the right thing. If he had something to do with it, he's doing the smart thing. But we don't know the answer to those questions. Let's zoom out. The girl's dead, a teenager, a child, really. And for all intents and purposes, so is David. Celeste Rivas didn't ask to become a symbol of anything, but her story has been weaponized. repackaged, reframed, distorted, and monetized by people who seem more interested in outrage than answers. And the cruelest part, we still don't know how she died. That sentence should land like a punch to the chest, because it means we don't yet know what exactly is going on here. Was she killed? Was it an overdose? Was it self-harm? Was it something darker, organized, planned, sinister? All of those are possibilities. But until the cause of death is ruled scientifically, legally, and without sensationalism, we don't get to assign her story an ending that feels most satisfying to our own favorite narrative urges. Investigators are still combing through her digital history, trying to reconstruct the path that led her to that vehicle, in that neighborhood, under that sun. The Tesla's location is being cross-referenced within nearby surveillance cameras, cell phone towers, rideshare logs, passersby, smart doorbells, parking cameras, the pieces that are still out there, waiting to confirm or contradict. But let me say this plainly. Until law enforcement makes an arrest, or the coroner rules a cause of death, or the DA says and lays out a criminal case, there might not even be one. Everything else is performance. And Celeste Rivas deserve better than that. So does David Burke at this point. For that matter, whether he's ultimately found culpable or not, because guilt should be determined by evidence, and evidence does not live on TikTok. This isn't just a case about what happened inside a Tesla. It's a case about what we do when we think we know more than the people actually investigating. It's about what happens when the appetite for story overtakes the discipline of truth. And look, if it turns out he's involved, great, throw the book at him. But as of right now, we don't know. It's about a family that got their daughter back in the worst possible way, then had to watch strangers turn her death into a guessing game. So here's where we're going to leave it at least for now. Celeste Rivas was found dead in a car. The car belonged to a rising artist. The timeline is documented. The science is pending. The investigators are doing their jobs. And the rest of us, we have a choice. We can either add to the noise, or we can make room for the truth when it finally arrives. And that truth may not look like what the internet expected, but it'll be the only one that matters. Your thoughts in the comment section, please, on YouTube. I'd really appreciate that. Be sure to press subscribe wherever you're downloading podcasts. Just search Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi, and you will find us there. Until next time, I'm Tony Bruschi. We'll talk again.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Bruschi and the Hidden Killers podcast.